Psalm 44, we said last week, is a psalm for those experiencing defeat. It's a psalm of defeat, but it's also a psalm of resolve and a psalm of restful resolve. And so we've made our way up through verse 3, and the psalmist is saying, our fathers have told us the stories about all the ways that you delivered them and gave them victory, brought them into the promised land. And God, we know that it was you that did it. It was your hand, it was your favor, it was your countenance. And I'm a little congested this morning. It's Monday. My voice is always a little stressed after Sunday. Verse 3, though, the picture of God's arm, God's hand, God's countenance, leaning in and giving us favor. What an amazing thought. So today we pick it up in verse 4. And it reads, Thou art my king, O God. Command deliverances for Jacob. I really want to cover verses 4 through 8 today, but it's not going to happen. And I'll tell you why. Because verse 4 is awesome. Thou art my king, O God. Command deliverances for Jacob. So the first thing I see here is resolve. Before he recounts in verse 9 the fact that he's experiencing defeat, or this people group are experiencing defeat, he basically says, You're our king. God, you are my God, you are my king, and regardless of what I'm experiencing, this is a fixed, non-negotiable. This will be, it is, it will be, it will always be. You are my king, oh God. And so the resolve there, he is driving this stake irreversibly deep. Nothing is going to pull this stake out of the ground of this man's spiritual life. He is anchoring himself permanently to this fixed reality. God is my God. God is my king. No matter what age, no matter what life stage, no matter what victory or defeat, what mountaintop or valley, no matter what life brings to me, this will be a fixed reality in my life. I have a God. He is my God. He will never change, and my devotion to him will never change. And he is my king. And that in essence he is my sovereign. He is my Lord. He is the one to whom I bow. He is the one from whom I receive instructions and direction in life. And I want to add this, that, yeah, we all have a king. We all have a Lord that we bow to. And God, Jesus, is the only Lord who will love you even when you fail, and who will not oppress you. His lordship is not oppressive, it's loving. His lordship is a loving leadership in your life, and it is what you were designed to live within and under. It's what your heart most longs for. If you run from the lordship of Jesus, it just means you don't understand it. If you reject the kingship of God in your life, it means you radically misunderstand what life is and who you are and who he is and what he intends for you, because your best flourishing happens under the loving leadership and lordship of God as King and Lord in your life. And so this psalmist understands, even though I'm going through defeat in the moment, even though God's not coming through experientially, verse 9 is going to get to that, even though my experience of God is not what I want it to be in the moment, I still trust him that he knows what he's doing and that he is my king. And so it's not about what I want, it's about what he's doing, and I belong to him. But look at the next phrase. And for the moment we have remaining, I want you to consider this. There's a request here. Command deliverances for Jacob. God, by the way, when you read the word Jacob in the Old Testament, in Genesis it's referring to a person. But the rest of the Old Testament, it's a synonym for the nation of Israel. These are the descendants of Jacob. So the idea of Jacob is the nation of Israel. Now, it's interesting that the name Jacob means follower or one who follows at the heel. So catch the sense of this. God is king and Jacob is his follower, okay? Jacob is his servant. So the sense of the author of the psalm is, I'm a follower of God. I'm a servant of God. I follow behind God. Whatever God is doing, I'm a follower of that. He's my King, my Lord, my shepherd, my Father, my faithful Savior. So I'm following that. But that's not even the thought I wanted to drive at. The thought I really want to drive at is command deliverances. The psalmist understands this. If I haven't been delivered, it's not because God has forgotten me or God is weak. It's because God has a greater unfolding plan. Because I know as a follower of God, any battle in my life or in my nation or in my world is a battle that He commands. Nobody ever gets the drop on God. Nobody ever surprises God. Nobody ever flanks God and surrounds Him. Nobody ever pins Him down. God is God, and He is always in absolute control, even when it appears, or even when my experience tells me otherwise. God simply needs to command. He simply needs to speak the word, and I can be delivered. Now, this is a powerful thought. It's powerful first in terms of salvation, okay? That my salvation is not up to me, it is up to God. That the work of my salvation is not a work that I can do. It's a work that Jesus has already done on my behalf. And so the sense of the gospel being a sense that I come guilty before God and that He has done the work, death and resurrection from the cross through the tomb. He's done the work necessary to give me salvation, and I receive it as His gift. And by His command, I am welcomed into His heart, into His love, into His forgiveness. It's an act of grace and mercy on my behalf, and it is received as a gift. That's the gospel, okay? But in the larger sense, beyond salvation, whatever struggle I'm experiencing in my life is a result of God's, unless it's self-inflicted, sin struggles, struggles of bad decisions, foolish decisions. We've talked about that before. I'm talking about things that are beyond my control, circumstances outside of the borders of my control that have unfolded, defeat in my life or oppression or difficulty. God simply needs to command the deliverance. So if He hasn't yet, it's because I'm walking through this valley in His will, and He's got a greater unfolding plan happening. And when it's time, all He needs to do is command. All He needs to do is speak the word, and my deliverance will be realized. So my friend, resolve today. Who's your King? Who's your God? Rest in the fact that He can and will command deliverance when it's time. Until then, wait. Be Jacob. Be the follower. Have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.